Hi everyone, welcome to the Monkey Patching Podcast, where we go bananas about all things outages, haikus, and more. My name is Murillo. I'm joined by my friend Bart. Hey Bart,
Hey Murilo.
how are you?
I'm doing very good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Today, I think last week I had actually a intense week, and today also was a long day, but we're here. We're good.
My day, and we'll get to it, but my day was messed up by AWS.
Oh really? We'll get to
Really?
it indeed. Like a lot. Yeah, actually, it's true. Huh? We
A
may
lot
have
of people's days were messed up by AWS today.
Yeah, indeed. We'll cover that. Don't want to spoil too much. And today we have a maybe slightly shorter, I think, episode today. But let's get to it, right? We have major Belgian chains like Brico and Carrefour are swapping licensed playlists for AI-generated background music, a shift that could reshape in-store soundtracks. Rights agency Sabam says musicians could lose roughly a quarter of public play income as retailers chase lower cost and bespoke royalty-free tunes. So this article, I think I was a bit surprised. Basically, there are a lot of
didn't know that was coming.
yeah, indeed. I think there are a lot of retailers here in Belgium where we live, right? That basically they're saying we don't want to pay royalties for music producers. So instead, let's just use GenAI music, right? And then they can even use GenAI music for doing seasons like Christmas and stuff, or Easter or whatever. And that way they can save a lot of money. Which, as a business argument, I get, but I think the feeling that I get, and curious what you think, but it feels a bit unethical, right? It feels like a bit like, because also you on the other side, this guy Sabam, I think, he also lays out how much it will cost for the actual music producers, right? Which is a quarter of their income. So it's a huge impact. There's a lot of already, let's say, controversy around how this AI generated music is generated, right? So it is already still based off of musicians as well. And now this bypass, it feels very unethical, right? I think I get it as a business case, like you're saving money basically, but it feels like we should be tilting the other way, right? So it's almost like you lose faith in society a bit. I don't know, how do you feel about this part?
I have a bit of a different point of view on this.
Oh, really? Tell me.
Maybe just as a shopper. If I go to the grocery and I never even noticed that there's music on. So I don't really care. I don't think it adds for me personally much value. I think Sabam, which is like the agency that these retailers need to pay and they then distribute it to the artists. Sabam is also not without controversy themselves. Like they charge for stuff for agents for artists that are not under their that they don't have any formal ties. So like there was some deep dives into this in the past. I'm not a major fan of Sabam.
Ah, really? So basically they make money off of...
Well, you basically, like here at retailers was probably a big fee, but almost every company in Belgium, if you have a public space, you need to pay like a forfait, like a fixed fee to Sabam because potentially you play some music that someone hears.
Potentially.
And then Sabam basically pays this to the artist, which is, it's good that the artist gets paid, right?
Okay.
Definitely not against that. To me, the problem is not like because you could make the same argument on like there's no live music anymore, right? Like where are the live artists? They're not there, right? But to me, the problem is not necessarily that it moves to AI generated music. I think it's a smart move business wise, like fix a bomb, right? But the problem is that there is no royalty payment to music that AI models are trained on, and that there is also no recurring thing like, okay, I'm gonna use this node is activated, and that's probably linked to that song. So we need to, every time that it is used or generates something, we need to pay that artist, and that doesn't exist yet. And I think because it doesn't exist yet, I hope it will someday. That's why this is also not only fucks over Sabam, which I don't care about a lot, but it also fucks over the artists because there is no clear copyright on this, right?
But like, why would anyone care if it fucks over Sabam? Like, who cares about Sabam? I guess like.
No, I fully agree. Yeah.
Okay. No, but. Is there anyone? Like, do you know? Is there anyone?
Sabam and themselves, probably.
Okay, it's just them. Because, like, the way I understand this, you're explaining, like, they're the means to the artist, right?
Yeah, they're the organization that takes all these funds and distributes it to the artists. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not like that organization itself has value aside from compensating the artists.
Well, it probably also pays people wages, but indeed, yeah, like there's limited added value in the whole in
But
the
it's not
whole
like they have a
supply chain
product
of
or they do-
delivering
yeah,
music.
okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I think they also mentioned the neighboring countries, they're moving away from this as well, right? From the AI generated music. So
Yeah, well, Sabam is a Belgian thing. Most European countries, the US definitely also like has this type of agency that does this. What I would be wondering about, because they mention like a big number, right, to like 25% of public income. Like, I would wonder for a popular artist in Belgium, like how much does it actually translate to? Because I can imagine that like public income is probably only like, what is it? 5% will probably be a lot of their annual revenue. But yeah, it's still a loss, right? Like they were playing their music. Yeah. And the problem is, of course, like if like, and again, like in the AI generated music, there probably is stuff of them used where they're not correctly attributed and are not making any money.
Yeah.
And that is the problem here, right? Not
yeah,
that.
but I think that's not a new problem necessarily, right? I think it's like, I mean, same thing we saw with the...
Well, no, that's true.
Yeah. No, but I fully agree.
But I do think that that's problem, that you don't have this attribution of artists in Gen AI, that problem makes that this feels unethical, what the retailers are doing.
For sure. I fully agree.
Otherwise,
I feel like
people probably would care less, aside from the cultural aspect of this.
Yeah, I feel like if that problem was solved, then people wouldn't care about this indeed.
No.
Right?
I think we're on the same page here.
And maybe just a clarification for me, like Sabam then, like if you potentially play music from an artist, you have to pay. So like even if you have a space that you pretty much never, like if you have a public space, you already have to pay Sabam. That's how it works? Or is there like a criteria, like you have events and you have this and you have
Definitely
that?
Not an expert on this. But if you have if you are a company and you have a public space, then your accountant will probably say, it's better to pay like a small fixed fee, and then we're not going to get into difficulties with them.
Okay.
That's how
also, like maybe you mentioned also, I thought it was funny. You said like when you go to Kai Food or do your groceries, like you don't care that there is music. Do you think it would be as much of a backlash, like if they just say, I'm going to stop playing music?
I don't think I would notice. Like I have like my goal is to get the stuff that I need to get, and like only just below that, my second goal is to get out very quickly.
Exactly, right? Like
it's not like, to me, it's not like let's experience the top 40.
It's like
right?
he's going there, take a headphones
just
off.
chill down between the watermelons.
Yeah, exactly. Like on the frozen section on a warm day, you just vibing, right?
So yeah, maybe that there's an audience to that, right? But then probably if there's an audience to that, then probably should be live music.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give the full experience, then probably live music. Yeah. What I was thinking also is this Belgium artist only? Because when I think of Christmas, for example, the first song that comes to mind is not Belgium Christmas songs.
No, I think Sabam, again, not an expert at this, but what I think is that they represent all artists, more or less, that are associated to them, and definitely not all, but that are associated to them through big publishers. But they get the public fees from Belgium, and they distribute them. They're a Belgian organization.
All right. What else do we have, Bart?
A new community paper claims large language models pick tools more accurately when instructions are written in plain English instead of JSON schemas. Across 6,400 trials on 10 models, reported accuracy rose about 18 percentage points and variance dropped 70%, though tests were single-turn and parameter-free. That's interesting, right?
Indeed.
Maybe you can explain a bit for the people that are not into the whole LLM tool calling things, like what is the JSON part here?
Yes. So basically, when we say LLMs can call tools, what really we mean is LLMs request tools to be called by the developer, right? The LLM never actually calls tools. And the way that it's done is because we expect something structured. We usually expect something in JSON. So for people with following the videos, based something like this, right? That basically says the tool calls, and then it gives a name and a description. And then the LLM, and again, we don't really know because it's not open, but we assume that the LLM really writes down the tokens for the JSON response. But because we can validate this JSON response on our side programmatically, and then we can, before returning it to the user, we have some guarantees of how it's going to look like, right? So tool calling usually today, the way the traditional way, let's say, to provide tools and to get the tool results back is via this JSON, right? This semi-structure. So it's not really a table, but like there is a pattern, like a key value, right?
So like for example, like I have this JSON schema that says I have these tools available, and like this tool is called web search, and this tool is called send a message through Slack, like these type of tools, and then there's a description on how the tools can be used.
There's also a description of the inputs, right, and the types. So for example, a very classical one is like get weather. So the name is get weather. The description is to get weather based on coordinates. And then you have usually a latitude and a longitude, which is our floating points, right? And then the result is going to be a number that is going to be in Celsius or Fahrenheit or whatever, right? So basically, you specify everything in a JSON. So it's kind of like a schema. And then the model will know, okay, I need to call this and I want to put these inputs. And then you run on your side and then you give it back to the model the tool results and the conversation history, and then the model continues processing everything.
And what this new paper is on Archive, what this paper is saying is fuck this JSON file, but do this in natural language. Like write down, if the user requests the weather, then call this thing through these and these parameters. That's how I understand it.
Exactly. So this is also how I understand it. Basically, they said that when you specify some things in JSON, when you ask the model to output some stuff in JSON, the model focuses more, and I'm saying focusing with quotes here, air quotes for people listening, because it's not a person, right? But the model is more focused on getting the JSON output correct, and the content of the JSON output, it's not as accurate as it could have been. So they say actually if you forget the JSON, right? And I think they mentioned a paper here. Format research demonstrates that the structure model's output, the more its performance tends to degrade. And there's a paper link here. So basically they say, if we forget the JSON, because if you ask JSON, it focuses more on the JSON than the actual content, then the actual tool selection is much better. So they call, instead of like this JSON contract, they call it the natural language tools here, right? Okay. And the way it looks, the way that they propose it to look is down here. So basically says, it's basically like you really just text that says thinking, and then you expect the model to give a brief reasoning, and then 2-1, yes, no, 2-2, yes, no, 2-3, yes, no, and then assessment finished. So basically they really want the model to say just yes or no for each thing, and there'll probably be another tool call to parse that out, because then the decision of calling a tool or not is already done, and the model just needs to parse it out and just say call this and this tool, right? So they break it down a bit. And they said that with this, the performance actually went really, really high. Well, really, really high. Boost the accuracy by more than 18 percentage points, from 69% to 87%. Yeah, indeed. And I think if you think more of the agentic AI, right, which depends a lot on the calling the right tools, this is very significant, right?
Yeah, and like they're also saying here, they use this with DeepSeek V3, jumping from 78 to 94, which I mean, this is already a good model, right? Like you could say, like maybe there's like a bit of a weird side effect on a small model, but
no, indeed. The thing I saw somewhere as well, they had 2 domains, so it was mental health and customer service. So again,
interesting. Maybe it's also specific to the domain.
Maybe, but I think in any case, I think it's an interesting finding. They give a full template here on what you should prompt the LLM, right? Saying you're an assistant, these are the tools, giving the format, the output in this format.
Good.
One thing, there are some limitations in the sense that, for example, they are measuring here tool call accuracy. So, but there's already an assumption there is a tool call. And I think sometimes like models, when you're actually using models, the model doesn't know if it needs to call a tool or not, right? And also by doing this, you also need to have more LLM calls as well. Because the way I could see this working with DeepSeek V3 is that basically every LLM call, you have to output something like this that is shown here, right? To just say, do we need 2 calls or not? And if not, then you just answer the thing. But then every time you're going to need that extra 2 call. And if one of these answers is yes, you still need to parse it out afterwards saying, okay, if it is a yes for one of these 2 calls, now make the 2 call, right? So you probably need an LLM as well to assess the output. So you do increase the number of 2 calls as well. So it's not super practical. as well.
Yeah, maybe also to make the parallel here to something that we discussed shortly last week, Claude skills. You could call, maybe goes a bit too far to go in depth, but like Claude skills are also like they're described in text, right? And like it's by injecting this text into the context that it knows that it can use these things, right?
Yeah,
And that maybe is like you can maybe make a parallel here.
it's true.
Yeah, interesting.
It's true. It's true. Yeah,
I think
actually, I've seen.
this is a sample size of one, but like having a model even know that they need to call a tool, like you notice this very well with Gemini AI. Like, and there's a big, because Google offers like Gemini AI, the web app or the mobile app, and AI Studio. And you can use the models in both, but like in the web app, you need to really say, come on, buddy, like use the image generator. You have an image generator, like try it out. Like you really need to go like motivated.
It's like a shy guy with like a shy buddy with like a tool, shiny. It's like, no, use it. Yeah, go, you got this. You can do this. Yeah, I didn't have this, but I was working with a colleague and I said, oh yeah, you can give tools to the model and do this. And then I actually saw the code afterwards and it's like, use this tool for this. It's like, you shouldn't have to tell it, right?
Pretty
but
please,
like
pretty
the reality,
please.
yeah, it's like, come on, like, I swear it works. It's like, I built it myself. I swear.
Super valuable.
Yeah. Indeed. One other thing I thought it was interesting before we move on. They actually said that by using the NLT, you actually reduce the context length. They said 47.4 fewer tokens on average. So basically like half of the things is just JSON boilerplate, which
JSON is very verbose.
Like I knew it was verbose, but like half is just boilerplate. I was like, that's a lot, no?
Half is a lot, yeah. That's more than but what depends maybe how they calculate context. Depends also a bit on like what is the full thing that you're trying to do. Like for example, if you also include that you want structured output and you include JSON schema, which is even way more verbose, like it quickly adds up, right?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting, but I was like, wow, sure, 9, like half, okay.
Yeah, it's a big jump, eh? Like feeling like this needs to be bigger news if it's such a big jump.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, indeed. So you gain accuracy, you lose in number of LLM calls, but then you also gain in terms of context reduction. So I'm wondering like how much the costs actually go, right?
Yeah.
So to be seen. Moving on, we have Japan formally asked OpenAI to curb Sora videos that imitate manga and anime, escalating a broader fight over copyrighted characters in generative media. Minister Minoru Kyuchi called the art forms, quote unquote, irreplaceable treasures as OpenAI faces backlash over its opt-out policy and waves of lookalike content.
Yeah, everybody saw this coming, right?
Yeah, I think I'm surprised that it took this long. If I'm being honest.
Like, I think with Sora, like we see a bit of I think in the last 6 months, there was a bit of a turning point where at some point everybody said like, fuck it when it comes to like generating copyrighted visuals or characters or whatever.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that I think OpenAI sued someone because they claimed that someone used their models to train their models or something. And it was like, are you sure? Like, yeah, it was like the whole like the Ghibli, when images came out, the Ghibli studio thing, it was something so open and in the air that I really thought that Japan didn't care, to be honest. So
yeah. And what happened here now, more specifically, is that Japan's cabinet office, via their minister Minoru Kyuchi, like they basically formally asked OpenAI to stop infringing on Japanese related artwork like manga and anime works. And Sam Altman also acknowledged through some forums that OpenAI has a depth, like basically to the creative output of Japan, like based on that, we're able to pull a lot of stuff off. I will see what it comes from it, right? It's again the same problem that we also discussed with AI generated music. Like there is no attribution to the original creator, so that is the basic problem here, right?
Yeah. I fully agree.
No, maybe that's making it too light. Like that is a significant problem. The other problem is that no one asked them if their material was okay to be included in this training data.
Yeah, No, for sure. Creative, like art, right? I think they all kind of suffer from this problem, right? There's no attribution. It's like I think the law is kind of catching up as well. One thing I thought as I was reading this as well, it feels like a very Japanese response, right? Like they take it up and then they can't not take it anymore. They politely ask, "Can you please stop doing this?" You know, and St. Altman is like, "I'm in your debt," but it's like figurative debt, right? Like I'm not gonna pay you,
Yeah, yeah.
but thank you. You know, like it's very I don't know, feels very polite and civilized, but not sure if that's the way to go either, right?
Yeah, it's just an example in a lot of different examples in copyright issues, right? When it comes to Gen AI, we'll see how it turns out. I think the when it comes to Gen AI artwork, I think the only quote unquote good player in this today is Adobe that have their I think it's called Firefly, their AI engine. I think it's called Firefly, and they trained it basically on a very very big set of stock images and visuals that they owned prior to this whole LLM hype, for which they paid the artist. At that point, probably the artist had the idea that this was going to be like their direct images were going to be used, like they didn't know the future usage. But that is probably today the best example of how it should look like.
Yeah, I think they were also in a unique position that they were the
They
only
were in a
ones that
unique
could
position.
do it, right?
Still agree.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, props for them, huh? I mean, they cashed in their chips at the right time. So,
But they also could have said, "Fuck all this!" Like there's much more. There's
True.
much more creative stuff out there that's included, right? They didn't do it. Eh?
True. They could just said like, I'm gonna take this and that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
no, it's very, very true. So, still, I feel like, do you think we'll ever have a good answer for music, for images? Do you think we'll ever get to a point that we feel like, okay, this is fair?
I'm hopeful, but I think we're at this point very far off from a technical solution. Right?
Yeah, technical. I think also legally, I think we're catching up, right, with all these new things. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would be good to hear if there are advances to connect with an expert on this, like to see if there are advances from a technical point of view to have clear attribution, because I don't know of any that are truly robust.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I'm also not in the space, but I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff happening there, right? And maybe we just get the headlines, but I would imagine that there are more people thinking about these things as well.
Yeah, and I think the challenge is also like this technical challenge of going from something that you created through the model to understand what the content was that was able to produce all this. Like that's a very big technical challenge, and I think a lot of people that are not in the space also don't understand how hard it is.
Yeah.
Because I hear this a lot, like, yeah, but they should just pay something to the original artist, but it's not that easy, right? Like,
Yeah.
I actually heard a week or 2-3 ago, like Scott Galloway on Pivot, I think, say something like this. It was about writers, but I mean, it's not that easy, right?
Like if it was like, it's almost impossible, right? Like, I mean, not impossible, but like, it's not that it's not easy. It's like super hard, right?
Super hard, yeah.
It's not something like this problem, even when the models were not as large, it was already a problem that was super difficult, right? Like it's not something that we could just fix it. So yeah, I think that's the thing. I think a lot of the people that are trying to come up with legislation and the laws and the precedents, they have little to no knowledge of how these things work. And these things are evolving very fast as well. So it's a very tough position to be in, right? Yes.
Without leaving your tabs. In early tests, the $90.90 per month experience felt muddled, with verbose answers, misfires on page interactions, and confusions over which bot to ask for a task. Opera launched their new browser. Yes, Opera still exists. The Opera browser. This one is called Neon. You need to pay a monthly subscription. And it basically has 3 big AI features. It's called Chat, Do, and Make. Chat allows you to basically, via a chat window, interact with a page. Like, can you tell me, give me a summary of what is on this page, what dates are mentioned, which people are mentioned, like these kind of things. Do allows you to say, I know that I want to follow this event on Meetup. Please go to the page and RSVP for me. Like these kind of things, like it can automate everything for you. And make is like you can make very small applications. HTML
Well, and applications is kind of like no code, low code applications, or
like through a chat interaction, and like what I understand is that it creates a small virtual machine within the browser, so it's relatively sandboxed, and you can do like it's a mini agent you can basically make. And what I understand from this review, everything is a bit meh. That's what I understand.
Did you try this yourself?
I did not actually, but the feeling is recognizable in the sense that I did recently try 2 other approaches. One was is an open source one. I think it's called MCP Browser or Browser MCP or something. And then I also last week I tried Perplexity Comet, which is Perplexity's AI browser.
This is the baby before. This is the browser MCP? That's the one you were thinking or no?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
But this is a open source project that connects to existing browsers or no?
Yes, you can basically via Claude talk to your browser then, or via whatever MCP agent. But I think Perplexity's Comet is more in line with what Opera launched. To me, the problem with this automation stuff is that it's very, very, very slow. So I went to a practical. I went to a networking event, and I had 4 names. I thought I want to connect on LinkedIn. These four people, and then it's like you can say this to Perplexity's Comet, and then it goes to LinkedIn and tries to log in, and logging in is already a bit difficult. You need to come in and come in between, and it works. You get logged in, and then it starts typing, and then it types in the wrong field, and then it tries to redo it, and then like until you get to the first profile of the 4, like it takes already like so significantly longer than if I would have just typed in a name and pressed enter, right? Like it's very, very slow. And then connecting like the wrong button, like it doesn't feel like this is not more efficient, right? Like even if you could say like I don't need to be involved and I actually have a big task, it's not 4, but it's like 1,000 people that I need to connect with. Like even then, like it's so inefficient because it takes so much time at the current stage that we're in, because like it tries to understand the DOM and it's making screenshots to understand what is where on the image. Like, the ID feels extremely promising. The browser is completely automated for me, do everything for me, but the execution today is not there.
Interesting. So, and then like it's slow because it's taking screenshots, because it's analyzing the DOM, because I would imagine that even if it makes mistakes but analyzing the DOM, it would still be pretty fast, no? Wow. So you've been very disappointed.
Yeah, I think like I'm very excited about this idea because you can do this for a lot of things. Like go to this web store and order this for me, right? Like I don't want. Yeah. I'm not like if I know what I want, I don't need to do it myself. Like I'm fine just saying it to ChatGPT. I would probably prefer that actually, but like how it is now, it's not. With browser automation, it's this.
Wow. But I don't know if you agree, but I think that maybe next year will be much better.
I hope so. I do hope so, yeah.
Because I do think I agree with you. The promise is there. I think there's a lot of people racing to get there. It's not great, but I still think that because like you said, you mentioned, for example, ChatGPT, right? I know we talked that they create another protocol for commerce, right? It's competing with Google. So there's like, you mentioned the example of buying stuff.
The approach that ChatGPT took actually is just like, I'm going to bypass the browser completely. I'm going to make these mini apps within our controlled environment. So they said, fuck this problem for now. We'll solve it ourselves. And with the upside for them is that they get this whole ecosystem, walled ecosystem. That's very, very, very difficult for other people to recreate, right?
Yeah, but it also feels a bit like via the browser, it's like you're trying to replicate what users do today with agents. And I think the way that OpenAI did is like we already have agents. It's like why are we trying to replicate the more like now that we have this new setup with agents, there are more efficient ways to do it. But because it's a new way, you're gonna have to swim upstream a bit, right? Like I think everything's on the browser. But I think when you talk about protocols and these new things, like it's gonna take some time to get there, right? And I'm not even sure if it's ever gonna fully get there, right? If someone doesn't want to have even if it's like an API, right? If someone doesn't want to get there, like you cannot interact with LinkedIn with the API, then if they don't want to allow you, then you won't, right?
Yeah, true.
So I think this way is like the more safe way, but it's clunky. I'm also wondering if with new models, if you can train models to do this, right? Like if they are also using, like they're collecting the data for the users of the browser and they can fine tune models or get models to work more efficiently there as well.
Yeah, specifically for those use cases. Yes,
yeah. Because I think if you think of the way that LLMs are supposedly trained today, right, which is more like natural language and all these things, and there's the human reinforcement learning, all these things, it's very different from analyzing DOM and answering questions about it. I feel like even if there is data about it, it's probably going to be very small, right? I'm hopeful.
I'll sign up for that.
All right, and maybe as we talk of new models, we have that Anthropic introduced Claude Haiku 4.5, a small model aimed at fast, low-cost coding and agentic tasks. The company says it delivers near Sonnet 4 coding quality at 1/3 the price and more than double the speed, priced at $1 per $1 input, $5 output per million input-output tokens. Yes. So a new model. I mean, we had the 4.5 Sonnet, I want to say. Sonnet and Opus, I want to say.
We don't have Opus yet.
Ah, yes. Wait, so we had the Sonnet 4.5,
Yes.
correct?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. A month ago? No. 2 months ago? Something like that.
Yes. So the Haiku is the small, the tiny model of the three, right? The Opus is the big one, or the reasoning one as well. So I guess we can expect that one next. Not much to say here. I mean, it's better than the previous ones. They are saying they compared the 4.5 Haiku with the 4 Sonnet, because here on I'm putting up an image for people following the video. 73.3% accuracy for Haiku 4.5 and 72.7 on Sonnet 4. So it's a smaller model, but just as much coding expertise, let's say, or coding efficiency. I think it's really cool because they also use this on Claude Code, right? So for your terminal agents and all these things, they're also going to improve a lot, right? So it's a small change for model users, but if you're a Claude Code user, you should expect also big performance increases, right? Like on the accuracy for coding stuff as well.
Yeah, it depends a bit on for which task, and like they do some optimization on which model they use for what, right?
But I think it's a lot of it is Haiku 4.5, no? That's
I
what
don't
I
think
actually...
for code writing, to be honest.
Ah, no? Okay.
No, I think it's Sonnet 4.5.
Anything that surprised you here, Bart?
No, I have a bit of a like double feeling on this, in a sense that I don't really care for my day-to-day, because for my day-to-day you need to have the best model, which today for coding is arguably Sonnet 4.5, which I use heavily. I tried Haiku 4.5 today. For coding, I wasn't really impressed. I think I also did a little bit of searching, like on Reddit on this. Like I think that's kinda mimics what the community is saying. Like it's good, but it's not like if you have the choice, you're gonna go for Sonnet, right? My other point of view on this is that I'm very happy that we have this as a mini model, right? Like this type of performance that is better, up to par, or sometimes better than Sonnet 4, which was by far the best model 6 months ago. So I think we're still at a stage with this that we're not in diminishing returns yet. Like everybody, if there's a better model, like everybody wants to use it for the day-to-day coding, but we will get into like where there is a diminishing returns for day-to-day coding task, and then like efficiency becomes a much bigger player, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And what we're seeing is that like it's possible to do this. What was state of the art for us a year ago, it's possible to do way more efficient, and that's exciting to see.
I think also you see a bit the specialization, right? I think they just talked about software engineering, right? When some announcements they talk about math, software engineering, a whole bunch of things, right? So I think I agree. I think it's good. Maybe question also, when you're coding, do you ever have prompts or tasks that you're like, oh, Haiku 4.5 could probably deal with this? So maybe, I don't know, for example, simple things like create a pydantic schema for this JSON. You know, like, so something that is really just like read and just, you know, almost like this, almost like mechanical, right? You don't need to think about it. Do you ever waste mental energy, quote unquote, by saying, this I'm going to ask Claude 4.5 Haiku because it's very simple and it saves some money? Or do you just say, I'm just going to use Sonnet for everything?
To be honest, I used to do this, not necessarily for the pricing or something, but I used back in the old days, which is 6 months ago. I used to say that for building implementation plans, I used Opus. And for the actual writing of code, I use Sonnet. But to be honest, I leave that up to not always, but most of the time, I leave that up to Claude Code.
So you use mainly Claude Code for your Claude Code on VS Code, I guess.
Not even with VS Code.
Really, just on terminal. Okay. Cool. What else do we have?
Let me have a look. A widespread, this is the one that we were talking about at the beginning.
Yes.
A widespread tied to DNS knocked major sites, banks, and some government services offline before Amazon said it mitigated the issue. Apps from Coinbase and Fortnite to Signal and Zoom were hit, underscoring how a single infrastructure choke point can ripple across the internet. So this is very recent, right? Like this is news of today. I was this morning. Arrived at the office and said, shit, I still need to finish off that slide deck. And then I went to Canva, and then Canva was down. I said, fuck it. And then I refreshed it like 10 times, and it was still down.
It's like,
and then I said,
turn off your laptop.
I didn't turn off the laptop. And then I thought, okay, I still have this working on a small project. It has a Postgres database. I'm hosting the database on neon.tech. I'm going to Neon. Neon is down. And then something clicked. I need to Google this. Like something more is happening, right? And then it turned out like half of the internet was down. Yeah, like we were saying, like Coinbase was down, Fortnite was down, Signal was down. Big, like can be a very important communication tool.
Yeah.
Apparently Ring was down. Security cameras was down. A lot of banks were down. Yeah, crazy.
And did they say why they went down?
It's a DNS issue. I looked at it when it just came out, but it was still the news was still coming out. I haven't looked into it yet. We'll try to do a debrief next time.
Okay.
To a bit of understanding. I think the news is still coming out as we speak.
But it's not like there was something in the ocean that was cut or something, right? Like with Azure.
No, not that I know of. And apparently it was a regional thing. It was a US East. It was not even Europe. And it also shows that even if you use, like for me, my example, my Neon stuff is hosted in the EU region, but it still depends on some things, like probably for routing or proxying that are in the US. And the whole website was down. And they very quickly fixed it and it came back up. But you're still tied to regions, right? Even if your specific resources are not hosted there.
Interesting.
And again, it just fucked up my day a bit, but for me not a problem. But these were big, like Signal being down is big, right? Like Ring being down,
yeah, this
can have major implications.
Yeah.
And this is especially like in a backdrop where we're all saying, I'm not gonna go host my own stuff on something like Heads now because AWS, this uptime is way better, right? Like we need to be there for the uptime, and then they take the whole internet down.
Yeah, it's like the dimension of it, huh? Like you mentioned one region in AWS, and it's like wow, like their footprint is huge, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Does that make someone say I want to self-host because I don't want to depend on AWS? Does these type of episodes change your view on things? Because it doesn't happen often still, right?
It doesn't happen often, no.
Do you think it happens? And actually, I don't know really. I don't have a good estimate. But do you think if you had self-hosted something, do you think it would be less likely for something like this to happen actually?
No, I don't think it's less likely. But the question, no, I don't think it's less likely, to be honest. But you do have more control over it.
You do have more control. That is true.
Right, you know what is happening under the hood. Or you should know, probably. But these type of uptime things, they are very difficult in a sense that they call this in this world, they call this the March of Nines. The March of Nines. Where you say 99% uptime results in, I don't know the math by heart, but it's 3 days that you're down, right? 99.9, it's already way smaller, but the effort to do that is way bigger. And then 99.99, only very small downtime, but the effort to reach that is extreme. It's really exponential.
Yeah, it's really you add so much more effort to get a little bit more guaranteed.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I think what happens in practice a lot is that it is a very easy to say, let's go for AWS because they promised 99.99, maybe even 0.999, I don't know. But percent uptime, question is if you even need it, right? That is a question, I think.
That's true.
Because if you know that it's 99.9, and you can also have impact on okay, we need to switch out this hardware, or we're gonna have some new routers in place, and there will be downtime between 6 a.m. and 6:30, and I'm gonna let my users know 3 months in advance that this is coming, and I'm gonna send them a lot of reminders. I mean, the impact of that is way less dramatic than AWS going down, and everybody being surprised.
Yeah,
Even
that's
the people, even the people hosting the solution, right? Not just the customers.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, I don't really have a good answer, but I think that there's like you can look at it in different ways.
But I think the planned outages, I'm not sure if it's a fair comparison though, because I feel like for this it was definitely not planned, right? And I'm sure that AWS probably also has planned outages, but then they route traffic to other servers and stuff, right? So there's no disruption of service. I think it's more like if you have an unplanned outage and how often that would happen versus something like this, right?
Yeah, I think that is that's fair,
Right.
but it doesn't change the thought experiment, right? Like
No, for sure. I fully agree. I also think it's like if you can host them yourself, what's the level of guarantees do you need? You do have more control over it, right? I do think I do agree. And I think bringing this up now as well, I think earlier in the year, now not as much, I don't hear as much, but like there was a lot of discussions over the distrust in the US and the US clouds. And,
yeah, that's another point. Yeah,
right. I think this adds to it, right? And I mean,
yeah, people start considering now like what direction should we take, while 2 years ago people would never think about this.
exactly. And I think even like DHH, which I think we talked some time ago, like the guy there, like he had a post as well saying that it's way more financially interesting for hosting their own stuff as well. So they're moving away from the cloud. So there was
I
also
think it
some
depends
people,
on the use case.
I think depends a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
because I think he also had like a big server usage, server cost, right? So I think for him, he explained a bit of math, like buying this, using this for 5 years and having this. So it's not definitely not for everyone, right? But I think for me, it was also interesting hearing that because I think it was whether he's right or wrong, I think he was the first person that really came out being really against the cloud. And up until that point, I hadn't really seen anyone really say going for the cloud was a mistake or is the wrong way. So I feel like it also kind of was like, whoa, like question mark, right? Like what? Let's hear him out. Yeah, and some people actually,
Yeah, but I agree. Like there has been over the last 15 years a whole generation brainwashed in that the cloud is the future.
Yeah, it's the only way.
It's the only way. Yeah,
right?
That's what we
It's
were
like,
talking.
So yeah. Would you want to share what you're working on, Bart, on your Neon?
But it's still very, very early days.
Okay, maybe we'll leave it for another day then.
Yeah.
Or you want to share now?
I can tease it a bit.
You can I can put it on the screen as well. Should I?
Oh no, that's too early.
That's too early. Okay, you can just tease it now, and then we'll do another.
So I'm making, but it's really like in the hours in between that I have here and there, because I think it's just fun. And it's not even the concept that is fun. Like, okay, I'm just going to say what it is. Otherwise, I'm going to be very vague. Basically a website which is a job board for developer-related jobs. So let's say full stack, front end, back end, data engineering, machine learning, whatever kind of jobs, right? You can post them there if you have a verified account. Not too enthusiastic about it, right? But the only thing that is fun is I'm making like this retro UI, and it's like you're a bit going back to OS2 Warp days, which was my first operating system. And you're suddenly there again, like, and everything is a bit old school and retro, and like you have to have like a taskbar and icons, and like in the end, it's like a job board, right? But I'm more having fun with making the whole retro UI.
Yeah.
And I have an idea to make a terminal and stuff like that, and it's kind of fun.
Well, it looks cool. Maybe next time we can think a bit about what we want to show, but it looks really cool. We showed the PostHog, I think, the website as well.
Yeah.
Which is also very cool.
It's actually PostHog that triggered it. So PostHog's a main website. They have a little bit this retro feeling, and that, I don't know, it kind of wormed into my brain, and then I thought I need to do something with this. Yeah.
So showing from the screen, people here. It looks again.
It looks a bit like it, but actually, like, I'm not trying to brag here, but I can have multiple applications open on mine.
You can have like multiple windows. You can have like the.
Yeah.
You can have AI chats on your browser, right?
Yeah, and there's a community chat. Like you can type something and everybody sees it. I'm not sure If that's a smart, like,
Instantly, no moderation. Just
yeah. But what I did to safeguard it a bit, like you can have like max 50 messages, and then like it's a first in, first out.
Okay, I see. So if someone says something, Bart,
So if
just
Murilo
gonna be there, like,
misbehaves, it only takes 49 other people, and then you're out.
or Bart typing like
Yeah.
crazy, right? Like,
You're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to say this.
no. Cool. That was it for this week. So like I said, slightly shorter, but yeah. Anything else that you want to say, Bart? Anything I didn't?
Don't think so.
I don't think so. Then maybe a little update on the newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you want to go for it, Bart?
Like, what do you want to... It exists? I forgot, because we also like sent out an article, and we did some updates. Async from the podcast. So I don't know where we're at. So, but basically, we haven't... No, we don't have a newsletter per se. We do. We have a first... We do have a first email sent, right? Yeah, we have a first email sent. That was the update you were asking about. Okay, you're completely right. So let me reset. So we do have, for the people that don't know, we have a mailing list now, and it's under our the link is under our videos. And we should actually also put it on our website. It's not on the website yet. We actually do have people that subscribe, which is very cool. So thanks a lot to these people. We have a very first version of the newsletter sent out, which today is just, let's say, a summary, a bit of a rehash of the articles that we discussed. Which is, I want to say, like the minimal effort that we can do to have a newsletter. We do have some ideas to improve it going forward. But it's cool to have these different touch points. It's also cool to, it's a bit more personal interaction with the subscribers, I want to say.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like we were talking earlier, right? I think it does bring a different vibe to it, right? Because I think it's a bit more like, before we have numbers on the podcast and YouTube, but it's just numbers, right? And I think there we have a bit of a, I don't know, it feels more personal. It feels like we're talking to people, right? Which is cool.
Yeah, true.
Right.
So enthusiastic about that.
So I think we sent out the first one. We had a lot of ideas, a lot of great ideas, a lot of not so great ideas, but ideas nonetheless, right? And we'll try things out and
A summary of our lives.
Exactly. But we'll try things out, and I think, again, we're excited about it. If you have any feedback as well, feel free to share, or any ideas or something you would like to see, feel free to let us know. Same thing for the podcast as well, right? If you have any thoughts, comments, feedback, if you want to leave us a review as well, anything, we're very much appreciated, especially the 5-star ones.
I'll maybe close with a bit of a humble brag.
All right, please do.
I just opened the dashboard for our newsletter. So we're hosting this on Beehive. Still very humble days, humble beginnings. But our open rate now is still 100%. That's impressive, right?
There we go.
Yeah. It's a good start.
It is a good start. It is a good start. So thanks for everyone that subscribed. And stay tuned. I think we'll play a bit more with the newsletter as well in the future. Cool.
We'll hear you all soon.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Ciao.
Ciao.